Hello everybody, it's Claire here from Sewn by Claire, and today I've got a bit of a tip for you. I hope you're all having a great day, and I'm so excited to share this tip with you. So I hope you're all having a great day, and welcome to my channel if this is the first time and this is the first time you've seen it. I do sew-alongs and tutorials, mostly on felt characters. It seems to have gone that way, felt characters and animals, and they're step-by-step sew-alongs and videos in order to help you achieve either a better result than you've got before, or to achieve more than you thought you could do before. And we take it really steady, and they're suitable for beginners and improvers, and the emphasis is on getting a good finish. So it's not a speed sewing site. I'm not a speed sewist. We don't go super slow either, but we look to get a really good finish. And so I found myself on a workshop, because I don't know whether you know or not, but I'm a brand ambassador for Lily Rose Dolls in the UK. I'll pop their website up here if you want to have a look at their designs, because they are truly adorable. And I went on a sewing workshop with their designer, Claire, who runs these workshops in her local town of Eastleigh in Leicestershire in the UK. And they're at Quorn Country Crafts, which is a quilting and fabric shop, and also does a lot of woolen crochet and knitting supplies as well. So I was there, and then whilst I was there, I met a lady called Jane, who is in our sewing support group. So I also have a Facebook group, which is a sewing support group, and Jane has been a member of the sewing support group for quite a few months now, and we were both pleased to meet each other finally in the flesh, so to speak, and we shared a table. And then halfway through the day, Jane showed me this absolutely a game changer tip. So I really want to say a really big thank you to Jane. So I'm going to point the camera down and show you what it's all about, and then hopefully if you like it too, you can use it with your felt characters, and if you don't, then carry on doing what you're doing, because I'm sure they're lovely anyway. So let me tilt the camera down, won't be a second. Okay, so what is this fabulous tip? I know you're all wanting to know, and I'm sorry for all of the cliffhangers, but I was going to show you that head, but I won't, because I've already fully finished that one. Let's show you on Harvey first. So this is the normal side, the side seam on a face that you get when you've sewn it by machine for the character. And you can see some of the stitches sometimes, which is all perfectly normal, and you can also see the edge of that seam quite clearly, as I hope you can see there too. Well, what Claire showed me was how you take that and make it into that. So you're going to say, what's the difference? Well, hopefully you can tell. You cannot see an obvious seam line down here going through the eye. Look at the other side. Seam line goes through by the ear and round to the nose. And then on this side, practically invisible. Just a seamless head. So like on this Harvey, I hadn't quite managed to get both of my seams symmetrical, and one was slightly lower than the other. And you can say it makes them more perfectly imperfect, and I love that saying, and it's more about the overall effect. But if you did want to replicate this kind of effect where the seam has disappeared, then I'm going to show you how to do it. So just so that we're not showing any favouritism, here's an otter line as well. So here's the head seams on an otter line, and then here's after she's had the treatment that I learnt on the workshop. So hopefully you can see that that's really could be quite a game changer on there, and it depends on the types of wool. I mean, this one is a viscose and wool mix, and this one is 100% wool felt, so you can do it on either. And let me just show you what we do. You need a fairly strong pin, or you're going to need like the edge of a darning needle. Let me just get a darning needle to show you what I mean by that. So something like this maybe. So you need something with a point that's fairly stiff, because we're going to be rubbing across the felt, and so you need that to be able to just ruffle up the felt a little bit. Now I've got, and I've used for mine, this broken needle felting pin, because that gives me quite a nice rough edge that will just catch up that felt quite nicely. So let me just put that like that so you can see. It's got the little handle on it. But if you've got something like this, like a darning needle, which is quite a big one, then you can use that. Or you can even, you know, use one of your pins, but it's just going to start and bend quite easily, and you could get through quite a few pins if you're not careful using something like that. So if you have got something, most of us have got darning needles or whatever somewhere around, haven't they? Just put that one away so I don't lose it. Okay, So how do we do this? Let's have a look on Harvey now. So we've got this seam here that we're going to just mask. I'm going to do it like this one. So what you do is you take your needle felting and then you're just going to rub on the side where you have sewn one side. So you're going at right angles really across the seam, just directly across it. And forgive me if you've already seen this, I hadn't seen this before. And this is why I love actually meeting the people that I sew with and who follow me, because between us, you come up with something purely magical. So you just scrape, really, just the felt. Now, you're not scraping so hard that you're going to go through your felt and you're going to make a hole. So do be careful not to do it too much in one go, hopefully, and then you're going to go back the other way as well. And you're just roughing that felt up and the fibres of the felt, just so that it's going to create this sort of different matted mess. And I'm just doing a few circles just to sort of just mush all of the felt together. And you're not wanting to get sort of lots and lots of the fibres off your character's face. You're just trying to rough it up a bit. And this is the first step. Jane, hopefully I'm doing this right and describing it right. I'm sure she'll be shouting at the... Well, she's very quiet, so she's not going to shout, but maybe she'll be tutting at the screen at me if I've not done it right. But hopefully it's all okay. Jane, if you've got any more tips for that I forget to include, then just pop those down in the comments below for everybody to be able to see, please. Okay, so there's one bit done. So let's hold his ear out the way for the moment. And I'm going to come up here and go up the other side of his head. I'm not going to leave it like that, so don't worry. We're just going to just do a little bit more. And it's a bit like, you know, when we were doing the fur for one of the characters' costumes, then it's a bit like that when you're pulling the fur out of the seam. So just roughing up these fibres from both sides of the seam, just across. And you can go a little bit wider if you want to, just to blend it, so that you're not going to have a line. I mean, we had a line with the seam before, didn't we? So that's quite, can you see that's quite proud now, though quite fibres. Then what you do is you take an iron with some steam in it, and you're going to watch your fingers here, so hold away from the fingers, and just be aware of anything on your character that might be polyester, because anything with polyester, and you've got a nice hot iron, it could melt. So keep away from fur, faux fur particularly, and be careful of noses and eyes if they're plastic as well. But these are glass beads, so they're okay, and then I'm just got the felt. And then you just iron it down with a bit of steam. And that just kind of puts the fibres back down where they're supposed to be. I should have done a before picture, shouldn't I, first, and then done a before and after. So you can see I'm just ironing down on Harvey's, just minding to avoid his prickles. And then let me show you. This is the side, oh, yes, that's the side we've just done. Can you see how that seam's pretty much gone? And there's the other one, just to show you that I'm not making it up, because before we had just pull the fur away from his ears, away from his eye. But I also did it on top of his ear as well, and that softened that seam just there. So you can see how the seam is normally. And I've just done exactly the same process. So now we can do under his chin. I'm now going to send you all reaching for a pin and your darning needles and your irons to have a go at doing this, because I think it is. I called it a game changer when she told me about it, when Jane told me about it, not she, sorry. But it's just scrape up that fur, either side, on both sides, one side and then the other. But I think for anybody who is concerned about having a go at making these characters because they think their sewing skills aren't going to be good enough, or they're not going to be able to get it neat enough, or you've got a character that didn't quite go symmetrically for you, and you're a little bit concerned or a little bit conscious of it. I mean, no reason to be, absolutely no reason at all. I'm not trying to shame anybody. I'm just trying to give you examples of where this might work. And you can do this as much as little as you want. Just be careful to keep moving around. Don't do it too much in one spot. Otherwise, you know, the felt is quite thick, but we don't want to be ruffling up that felt or making a hole in when you've worked so hard to sew a beautiful character. So there's the iron going on again. I just need to do this one a little bit more, but you'll get the gist. But it's softened that chin seam immeasurably and gives them a lovely round face. So let me show you what that was on the woolen viscose felt. So let's try now. Let's see if we can get the other side of Otterline looking ready, because look, there's her seam at the moment, and that's the other side I want to get it like. So let's just start off. And again, we're just pulling those fibres over. And you can also do it where you've got a change of colour as well, like here, and soften the line. So there's the line normally. And then this one I've already softened, look. So it works really, really well. And I'm just scraping. You do a little bit of force, but not too much. And I'm not poking into the felt at all. I'm just scraping across the surface. And I'm just ruffling up just a few of the fibres on that seam and just around that seam. And as I say, you can go a little bit further out if you want to, just so that you sort of blend that action in. And even where you've got the darts on the back of her head, you can do that too, and just ruffle that over as well. But it's going to make the head look like it's just one continuous piece. Now, some people may not like that look, and if you don't like it or you don't approve of the finish, then just click stop on the video and just carry on doing exactly as you are. There's no right or wrong way. All I can do is share the tips and tricks that I've learnt along the way and pass those on to you, and you can choose whether they work for you or not. But hopefully you'll think it does, because especially if you're still learning, then this does just give you that extra insurance really that you don't have to worry about. So let's just see how that's all going. A little bit more. So I'm doing this in real time for you so that you can see how much you need to do it. So if you want to fast forward, you can do. But this is the basis of the tip really. A little bit more. So I think the wool felt does take a little bit longer to get some fibres scraped up. But it's a denser, I think it's just slightly more densely woven, isn't it? So let's have a go now at the iron and just see how that's looking. So can you see it's kind of fluffy? Can I get it in the camera? Just sort of all raised. And then we use the iron and the steam. And that steam and that motion. Still see it a little bit, but it just needs a little bit longer. But it's certainly softened that seam now. So this was one I'd done already, and this is the one I've just done. So you can still see it a little bit. Close up from a distance you can't see it so much. And then once I've done that, then I'm just going to go again and just ruffle it up a little bit more. And get a few more fibres going and matted. So the heat and the steam refelt all those fibres that you've ruffled up, and that's then what covers the seam up, because then they mat together over the top of your stitch line, and that's what then helps to hide it, because they all sort of get pressed down into place. That's better. Sometimes you just have to go backwards and forwards over it a couple of times just until you're happy with it. And again, just be careful of your eyes, but just tuck any loose fibres around the eyes, and then that will sort through. So there we go. So how's that looking now? So again, I can do down between the two colours and just do exactly the same thing. You're just scraping up those fibres, just ruffle them up a little bit on both sides of your stitching line just to soften it. And this is particularly good around muzzles as well, where you've had to use one colour of your thread, and it doesn't, you know, obviously it's a contrast for one colour, isn't it? And you've had to use the other colour to sew. So just moosh that together. Sorry, Otterline, you'll be all sorted in a minute. And then keeping your hands out the way of the steam, because remember the steam is hot and it will burn you. Just iron that down, and look how neat that is now. So there's been softened with the felting process, and then here hasn't as yet. So you can see the difference. Okay, let me just turn the camera around. I won't be a second. So I hope you think my excitement was justified. I know it's I know at my age I shouldn't get excited about such things, but I really do. And especially about being able to share it all with you and for you to see something so simple as this, and it actually does elevate your character. So here's Harvey again with his lovely lack of facial seams. Looks really nice. And here's Otterline with her forehead looking lovely and smooth without any seam lines on there. So yeah, I think that's something I'm going to retro do to all of my characters. It is best to be done once your character heads have been stuffed, because that's going to give you the structure that you don't then sort of pull it or tug your character out of shape. So I would fill and stuff your character head first, so on any ears that you need to, because also, I mean, I did soften around Otterline's ear there, that's where it is normally. And also just around where it's attached, it just hides those ears. It just makes it look a little bit more cohesive as a character when that's finished. Obviously you can take it as far as you like, whether you want to do it on feet, on arms, whatever. I'm not going to bother where the characters are dressed and where you don't have a need to see any of the seams, but I did start to do it on Harvey's foot as well, so that the front of his foot didn't have a seam down it. But the options are endless, and you can choose exactly what you want to do, whether you want to do some, all or nothing. That's absolutely fine. But as I say, just too good a tip that I picked up, and thank you very much to Jane. I am going to be doing a bit of a chat about the workshop and about just a general catch up for the end of January, beginning of February. I've got my mum coming next week, so I need to have some videos in advance ready for her coming. And then the only thing I've got to do left is the hat for Harvey. So Harvey's been made up in all of his clothes. His trousers, his shirt, his waistcoat, his jacket are all already live, including his head and his body and limbs. And I just need to do his hat. So that's the next thing that I'm going to do. But just look at that fur. Doesn't that look like proper hedgehog fur? Really does. So yeah, so thank you very much for watching. Sorry I'm so excited, and I just couldn't wait to bring it to you, so I hope you'll forgive me for that. And I'll speak to you all soon. Have a great day, everybody. Happy stitching. Bye.